There are three primary preoccupations in this life that trap our souls: the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. I'm not going to address the first two today, but I want to specifically point out what protects us from the pride of life. Now, of course, this isn't the only thing, but it is an incredibly powerful thing that I think often gets missed in the life of a believer. And that is worship. You see, one of the things that I think as believers, we're commonly taught to read the word, we're commonly taught to pray, we're commonly taught to go to church, right? To engage with other believers. And a lot of us probably worship at church, right? We hold our hands up, we sing, we do that whole thing. And I'm not saying that that's not real worship, but what I'm saying is that there's a different type of worship when it is intimately you and God. You're on your face, on your knees, genuinely worshiping God. Now, if that offended somebody's flesh, that's a good thing, because that's one of the things that worship does. It separates our flesh, it subdues our flesh. It is one of the most powerful ways that we put our life, our bodies, our flesh into the appropriate context. It is so incredibly easy, particularly in this modern time, and if you live in the US, to come to a place where the pride, the thing that you find your value in, is in your life, in the status or the things that you've built, or your kids, or whatever the things are that constitute your life in this time and space. But when we worship, we properly position all of those things within the context of the glory and magnificence of God. We don't call improperly valuing the things in our life worship, but the truth of the matter is that you sacrifice to what you worship. And many of us are sacrificing our lives to our jobs. We're sacrificing our lives to our kids. We're sacrificing our lives to any number of other things that we have valued enough to sacrifice our time, our attention, our ways of thinking. In some cases, maybe some of you, even the things that you value, like your values, your integrity. Some of you have sacrificed your integrity in order to collect the paycheck, or in order to advance, or in order to get the things that you want in your life. And so when we worship, that reconstitutes, it properly positions, it postures our life in the right context of God, placing God at the absolute top and everything else beneath it. Everything in this life is temporary. Everything in this life is meant to be used. It's meant to be used up. God is the one permanent thing. He's the only permanent thing. He is the only thing that is worthy of our worship. And so when we posture ourselves in a position where God is placed in the right place on the throne over everything else, it both protects us from falling into the pride of life, but it also protects our hearts and our souls. You see, when something happens in your life that's disappointing, right? Something is heartbreaking. If your heart is in that thing, it is devastating. But if God is still on the throne, if your worship is for Him, if your heart is for Him, in Him, then anything that hurts you on this earth, it falls secondary. It still hurts, but it's secondary. It's the reason that God commands us to love Him, because He understands that whatever we love, if that thing is taken away, if that thing is destroyed, it's devastating. It can literally end a person's life. I talked about this in another teaching, that heartbreak is an actual real thing that can happen. The strings in a person's heart can actually break, and emotional heartbreak can translate to the physical heart actually breaking and killing them. That is how powerful love is. That is how powerful what we worship is. That's why sex and worship are frequently intermingled in ancient cultures, and probably still today, we just don't call it that. I'm sharing this because I think a lot of you are probably only worshiping on Sunday whenever you're at church with a bunch of other people. And I want to encourage you that worshiping God is just as important in your discipline and in your practice as prayer. It's something you should be doing daily, even if it's only for a short time. Put on a little bit of worship music and just get into the presence of God. Get on your face, right? Like, get on your knees. It's okay. That posturing of the body, what that does is it says to the flesh, you are subordinate to something greater. But when you do that, it frees your soul to connect with him in such a deep and intimate and powerful way. And it properly positions this life that we live in the natural and everything in it. It properly positions it in a place that protects us. It's one of the things that I think we have to remember is that everything God does is for our good. It's for our benefit. It's because he loves us. Do you think he actually needs your worship? God has legions of angels who can worship him. God could make the stones worship him if he wanted to. He doesn't need your worship. This is the mistake that people that are unspiritually minded get hung up on. They're like, oh, he's demanding this worship from me. Guys, he's not demanding worship from you. He is granting us the opportunity and the wisdom to recognize that placing him on the throne protects our life. He's not demanding our worship for his benefit. He invites us to worship for our benefit. Okay, I got to get into this Bible study, but I hope that encourages you and gives you some context for worship. One thing that I don't know if you can find them anymore, but if you can find a 24-hour prayer room on YouTube, I like turning those on so that I'm able to worship with people live. For me personally, I found that to be super beneficial. But any great worship song, you don't have to have music if you're not into music. I just personally like music whenever I worship. But yeah, would heavily encourage you to add this to your practice because it protects you from the pride of life.